With nothing to do, I let my gaze shift up toward the star-specked sky to watch thin clouds drift across the moon. And back down. I didn't realize how long I'd been standing there until Heisuke ran up to me. What's wrong? Have you seen Zoji? I can't find him anywhere. What? Something felt wrong. I didn't like it. He went to look for you. Me? He frowned. I've been on duty at my station for, well, all night. I never saw Zoji. That's not good. Something was definitely wrong. Maybe we should tell Hijikata that Okida's missing. Heisuke nodded. What the hell's he thinking? You can't just abandon your post, Zoji. I could hear him mumbling to himself under his breath as he headed off toward the entrance of the main hall. I'm going to look too. I knew that I wasn't supposed to go out on my own without express permission from Hijikata, but I couldn't just leave Okida out there by himself. Well, suck it, Hijikata. Before long I found him. He was hard to miss. He had come under attack from a whole gang of adversaries, and yet every time his sword moved, men scream and blood stained to the ground at his feet. That's Okida! The Satsuma men filling the street cried out in fear. Okida of the Shinsengumi! There was no hesitation in his movements. As the Satsuma began to flee, he fell on them like a tide of steel, every blow ending a life. Please, no! Oh no! The man fighting in the street before me was no human. He was an engine of slaughter. Okida. That Okida. Oh god, now Heisuke's here too. That just can't help. There's no escape. Okida's still a human, still as a human was practically unsurpassed. With the speed and strength of a fury, he became a force of nature. Not one of the men before him would leave that street alive. As the last fell, he slid his sword, still wet with blood, back into its scabbard and turned in search of his next victim. Okida. Stop it. I threw myself into his path. Settle down. What are you doing here? His gaze was almost sharp enough to draw blood. Came to stop you. His expression twisted into something halfway between stunned surprise and disgust. You stop me? I'm just doing my job. You don't get to tell me to stop. There's a cold fury beneath his words that made my throat tighten. Is this really going to help the Shinsengumi? My job is to kill our enemies. If you really think that's your duty to kill all of these men like this, then why did you leave without telling anyone? You already know, don't you? Because this is wrong. Are you trying to say you think I'm doing this for my own reasons, not the Shinsengumi? I am. Damn, Chizuru, way to go. He wanted to kill anyone who'd had a hand in the attack on Kondo. That was his reason, I knew it. Let's say you're right. What's wrong with me doing what I'm doing? Well, a lot of things. A, you have responsibility to your own weird superpowers that you now have. And B, mindless, senseless killing of a bunch of soldiers. It's gonna really represent Shinsengumi poorly. Very disrespectful. I struggled to find words. It's my duty to kill. So long as the result's the same, what's it matter if I get there a little differently? Why don't you do the right thing? Don't be a dick. Oop. I hit a button. Okida. Okida, please. It wasn't easy to say what I wanted to, but I pushed forward. You said yourself that it was your decision to drink the water of life. That this was the path you chose to be a Fury. Now you gotta be responsible for it. Maybe I did, so? His glare didn't waver. If you believe in the path you chose, then shouldn't you be trying to follow it the right way? I don't know what you're talking about. You can be duty-bound to your job all you want, but if you have a position of power, you're still responsible to it. He looked down, and I was surprised to see pain on his face. I'm a weapon. All I can do is kill people. You are not a weapon. Do not reduce yourself to a weapon. You can be responsible for your own weaponization. Weaponry. If you just think of yourself as a weapon, I think that's fine. I didn't, of course, but now's not the time to be debating that particular facet of his personality. I think I understand how you feel. Kondo is really important to you. Okida loved Kondo like a brother. How could he simply sit by and do nothing after seeing someone he cared about nearly killed? Sitting by his bedside all day isn't going to make him heal any faster, And protecting the magistrate's office isn't going to win the war no matter what you do. Okita must have felt helpless, and so he turned to the one thing that could give him the control over life and death he so greatly desired. Battle. There's his little character profile thing. You can write that down on his D&D sheet. He needed to have control over life and death. Please, don't lose sight of who you are. Is it really your duty to let your emotions control you? Is that the kind of warrior you are? You won't cry about it? Okita knew which path was the right one. He'd only lost sight of it. I hoped perhaps I could guide him back. You know, post the, like, hundreds of dead bodies all over the floor. As I spoke, his face had flattened to a blank mask. You keep this up and I might really kill you this time. Oh, stop it, Okita. You wouldn't. How many times have I heard him say he would kill me? Behind the cold eyes of his gaze, I could sense a man who would kill without a second thought. Perhaps this would be the time he finally made good on that threat. Too bad, can't kill me. I'm unkillable. I like that part of it. Even so, I had to stop him. I'm not moving. If he let his emotions get the better of him, he would surely regret it later, and I couldn't bear to think of him suffering like that. Even if it meant I had to put my life on the line, I would stop him. If you really want to go, then you're going to have to kill me first. His eyes bored into mine, and for several very long seconds, neither of us spoke. You... He shook his head and looked up at the night sky, exasperated. Why the hell did you do that? I can't just forget about you. He laughed. You're nuts, you know that? Was that his way of saying thank you? If it was, then that was enough for me. Just as the silence began to stretch to uncomfortable levels, I heard a voice. This is where you ran off to. He sounded appalled, but all I saw on his face was worry. Soji. He looked around the bloody street as he spoke. You go out alone and this is how it ends? This is too much, even for you. Okita shrugged and looked away from Saito, who seemed to not to notice. You done this now, Saito, Soji. You gotta be responsible for it. That's all there is. These guys are gonna judge you for it. It's gonna happen. You did a bad. You did a bad and you gotta be responsible for it. Kondo's fever had broken. He'll be fine. Really? 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 Saito nodded. Good. Saw his shoulders relax. I expect this sort of thing from Soji, but you? You need to remember to think before you act. Under Harda's hard gaze, I suddenly remembered that I'd left the compound without permission. I'm sorry. True, I also need to be responsible for what I did. No sooner were the words out of my mouth than we heard the frantic tweeting of a whistle from some distance away. Looks like they found us. We need to get out of here before they show up. You got it. We ran as fast as we could toward the Fushimi Magistrate's office. Someone's going to clean all this up. Idiots. When we returned, Hijikata was waiting for us. He was not pleased. Nonetheless, he seemed relieved to see Okita. He'd probably been worried just like the rest of us. I'll let it slide this time. I'll let the slaughter of Satsuma soldiers slide this time, but don't ever do it again, understand? What a coincidence, Hijikata. I was just thinking the same thing. You get let off so easy. Since Kondo's gonna be fine, I thought I'd let you off this time. But don't think that means I'll forgive you. Okita, please. As he finished, Okita's voice turned suddenly harsh, and he then spun on his heel and stalked from the room. The corner of Hijikata's mouth quirked up into a tiny smile. If Soji hadn't disappeared, you wouldn't have left, right? Yep. Then this is his fault. Perhaps he was right, but I'd still acted on my own and chosen to leave without permission. Was he going to hold Okita responsible for my own selfish actions? So is Okita blaming Hijikata for me leaving? Oh. Dummy. Fuck you, Soji. Worst boyfriend ever. Now go get some rest. You haven't slept much today. I didn't know how to respond. Hijikata wasn't usually nice. Thank you. I bowed and turned to leave. Nearly at the door and almost out of earshot, I heard him murmur to himself, "So it's all my fault, huh?" Oh, they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight a bunch. The next day, I didn't wake up until evening had arrived. I must have been more tired than I'd thought. It was nearly time for the night shift to begin, so I leapt into my clothes and dashed out of my room. She's always so excited to go places. Oh. Sorry about that. Okita! How's Kondo doing? I keep accidentally hitting the escape key on my desk. Oh, he's gone to visit Dr. Matsumoto in Osaka. Dr. Matsumoto? I like that guy. He must have been hurt pretty badly if he had to travel to see a doctor. While Kondo was away, however, Hijikata would be the acting head of Shinsengumi. You worried? I'm glad he's taking care of it. He's kind of a weird guy, but he's a good doctor. At that, he giggled to himself about some joke I didn't get. It looked as if Okita had calmed down, but only the day before he'd run off all on his own and I had to keep my guard up. This kid's gonna get himself killed, or worse, everyone else. I hope things will be peaceful tonight. No sooner had I spoken than a gunshot shattered the night air, and I saw Okita's jaw clench. Okita, no. Several more gunshots went off in succession, almost as if they were provoking us. Sorry. Okita, you gotta do what you gotta do. He dashed by me, ran off toward the sound of gunfire. Guns everywhere now! Over a year! 1 year later and just guns everywhere. Soji, wait! You should wait yourself, Toto. He held out a hand to stop Heisuke. They're trying to draw our men away from the magistrate's office. What the hell am I supposed to do? I can't let Soji go out there alone. We can gather some men to investigate the gunshots, but I want you to remain here to guard. I can't have all the Fury captains running off and leaving the magistrate's office undefended. Sinan turned to begin gathering up men for the investigation, but I suddenly realized that if I waited until he finished, I'd lose track of Okita. Chizuru, don't chase after Okita. Hey Chizuru, what the hell are you doing? Heisuke's voice echoed through the night behind me as I ran out of the Fushimi magistrate's office into Kyoto. Dumb move, honey. Okita! The city was strangely quiet. The streets were empty. Suddenly a flash of blue appeared before me. Okita! The blue flash solidified into a streaming coat. Cold eyes glared out from above an arm holding a sword that carved a line of almost painful light through the night. We've been here before. Did you shoot Kondo? There was someone else here. Kaoru! He glared at me. Even though we're siblings, the last time you saw me, you called me your enemy. And yet I'm still Kaoru to you, not you, or bastard, or monster. So patronizing, I can't stand you. I bit my lip. It was Kaoru who tricked Okita into drinking the water of life, but he was still my brother. I knew he was not a good person, but Okita, on the other hand, seemed to have no such reservations. Answer my question. You're accusing me without evidence. Humans are so... He laughed, a cruel, harsh sound. Ah, yes, I think I do remember. I ran into some men from the Guardians of the Imperial Tomb. That seemed possible. We'd killed most of them at Aburano Koji, but some of the members of the Guard had escaped. They wanted to avenge Ito. You remember him, the man you deceived and murdered. Unfortunately, they didn't have the courage to attack the magistrate's office. I may have suggested they wait on a particular road on a particular day. Okita's eyes narrowed to slits. Then... you? Oh, don't misunderstand. I didn't mean for him to be hurt. His smile was taunting. I just never thought the chief of the Shinsengumi would be such an idiot. Only 3 guards. Why, he was practically asking to be shot. Okita snarled, and I saw his body tense for an attack. So did Kaoru. With another cool grin, he snapped his fingers. In the shadows around us, men suddenly appeared. What? Okita and I stood for a moment, stunned by the surprise, and Kaoru took the opportunity to put some distance between us. Although we should not be stunned by the surprise, because obviously we are in a trap, and obviously we are idiots. Although I don't think Kaoru was expecting I'd be there.